everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tumor. Welcome back. If this is your sixth High School Musical, the series, Season 3 episode review. I'm doing a little training right now in terms of with the upcoming fall season. If you're unaware, we're about to be kick off our busiest time period of the fall, which this fall we will be doing 2 Walker Show reviews, 2 Rookie Show reviews, and of course Stargirl right now. And there will be some days where I'll be double recording. So today I'm recording both Stargirl and HSMTMTS on the same day to see how my energies level are. Thankfully for me, I'm off work tomorrow, so I can sleep in a little bit more. But however, not all days will be like that. So we'll see how it goes. We'll see what my energy levels are like. But however, for this week on HSMTMTS, it continues the traditional flair of High School Musical, the musical of the series, where instead of focusing on the play itself, they're doing a Disney Channel Games freaking inspired theme challenge. I'm like, you know what? I'm not even mad. I'm really not. This episode was not as great as the last one. I think it fell off a tad bit. It had some cool moments of surprises, and I'm definitely curious to see what the end of the season is going to look like. There's still 2 episodes left. A lot could change. It seems like things are going into a happy trajectory, which I'm like, okay, you're setting up for a big fall. I'm going to be super sad if you make some people cry next week. And already we had one person cry for very kind of dumb reasons in my opinion. But that's just my opinion at the end of the day. But overall, I thought this was a good episode. We're still wrapping up pretty strong. Definitely not the uphill that I was expecting for this week. But with that being said, let's go through the Butcher Recap and talk about this week's episode of HSMTMTS. So we begin we begin at nighttime. Someone's wearing night vision goggles of all things. I'm just like, what are we doing? Then we do the haunted theme spooky thing for camp like 3 weeks ago. Are we done with that? No, it's Corbin Blue. He's back at the camp. He's back shooting Disney Plus special, which apparently, like everything else, they're taking a sidestep to focus on the color games, which is the camp's annual tradition to have 2 teams of the campers versus each other in a bunch of sports-related activities to determine which side is the better campers. And since the fact that this is all drama now, this would make perfect content for like versus competitions. And honestly, we really don't get to see much of that. And he decides to wake them up in the middle of the night, which honestly gives me some Chris McClain vibes from Total Drama, which I'm like, bro, let the kids sleep. I mean, technically they need a lot of sleep before a big sports event, so you're kind of hurting them. This isn't training or anything. So he's kind of getting the move up, getting the motivation going. And just like at this point, everyone's just casually just like, is just chilling with Corbin. Like he's not even like that much of a celebrity status anymore. Everyone's, Courtney just wakes up from, even though he goes into the boys' cabin, she goes all the way to the boys' cabin to go see what's going on. And she's just like, Corbin's gone crazy, bro. He's gone crazy. So they're setting up for the games. The next morning, the proper morning, Gizmo is teaching Gina the proper method to row a boat, which honestly, I never rowed a boat before, but I did kind of I cycled the boat once. It's me on water with me piloting. Yeah, you never want to do that in your life. Never trust me in a boat of any kind. Because apparently one of the games is canoeing, and Gina does not do so well in sports, so she's trying to get a little bit of practice before the actual games. She's still a little bit sore with EJ about just everything that happened the last couple weeks. So she's still pretty much a little kind of conflicted on where things are right now between them. Thankfully, EJ comes in and explains to her, like, kind of like apologizing and just like, I have to focus on the play, because if the play goes well, that means my dad will be superbly impressed that he is on the right track. He does need to go to leadership school, that he could stay in Salt Lake for the gap year, and so they can stay together for at least one more year. And Gina's like, you know what? Let's put a pause on the whole future conversation right now, which I'm like, good. You guys are young. Just have fun where you can. Have fun. And Gina's like, well, let's just focus on today. Let's have a great day. Let's win this. Well, let's win regardless of what team we're on, and just have a lot of fun today. EJ does mention that he had to call in some big guns to kind of help him out prepping the play, which I'm like curious. I'm like, who is he going to call? Who are you going to call in the middle of the night? I'm just like curious. I don't think the next scene is who we anticipate it is yet. I think we have to go for the actual color games first, the team selections. which I'll probably just get to right now. So we're back at the campfire. We're back at the campsite. Val's just giving up the basic rules of it. Corbin's doing things a little bit differently this year because he is, well, reality show, TV show host, mentality. I've dealt with it for many, many years. So I'm like, you know what? I'm used to it. He calls out the teams, which is kind of small, which I'm like, bro, there's a lot of campers behind you. Like, what about everyone else? And Corbin's like, yeah, everyone's in participation in the game, but you guys are just going to be the focus in the special because waivers and releases and just conflict. It's just like they're going to be blurred out in post-production, which I'm like, okay, so typical reality show stuff. Okay, that makes total amount of sense. So the teams are, the blue team is EJ, Gina, Ashley, and Ricky. And the yellow team is Gizmo, Jet, Carlos, and damn, my brain is hurting me. I got Courtney. So those are the main special teams, and the winning team will be allowed to use their phones briefly to contact back home, even though Rudy Tooty Fruity over there is just like, we don't do that. And Corbin's like, it doesn't matter, it is what it is. My rules, my show, my rules, which I'm like, I don't think that's how it works, Corbin. You have a great face. So I'm like, we're going to do what you want to do. EJ takes a step back from the games itself to focus back on the play prep. Because again, like someone's got to focus on this play here. I mean, again, they're about to premiere in less than a week. They've barely done rehearsals and Corbin's all focused on the color games, which I'm like, bro, you want them to perform a Disney Plus, which is debatable the quality. Still, you want to pull off a decent performance here, and you're not giving them the chance to do so. So EJ returns back to the barn where he awaits the special guest, which is, I don't have a drum roll. I should have got my bongos from downstairs. I should have. But anyway, no, it's Big Red. Nah, it's not Big Red. It's Miss Jen. Of all people, she's here, and I'm like, wait, what are you doing here? We can't afford you. I thought you were just the one episode pony. I thought we were gonna see it until season 4. But no, she's here. She just came back from her vacation with Ricky's dad, where they probably were canoodling and tanning and probably. Okay, this is a kid show, so I'm trying to be PG-13 here at times. Anyway, so she's back. AJ apparently called her as soon as she got back home, and you know what? Miss Jen's like, I got nothing else to do for the entire summer vacation, so I'm gonna drive all the way out to California to go see my kids in action. But AJ's like, no, you can't see the others. You're just here for me. We're going to focus on this play, and then you're going to bounce because everyone's focused on the game, so this is the opportune time for you to be visiting. And the way Miss Jen is like confidently saying I embody the modern day drama teacher / musical director for teenagers. And I'm just thinking to myself, bro, you failed your freaking musical career or your theater career, and you're talking about you're going to lead the next generation, bro. I don't believe that whatsoever. But anywho, they go through it. It's actually nice. EJ and Miss Jen are kind of like EJ's graduated. He graduated off screen. So for EJ, it kind of feels like they're equals now. Like, they're both adults in a sense. So like, he's able to view her as a peer for once instead of just like a student-teacher relation. But of course, Miss Jen has a soft spot for all of her students. So she's very much missing her old Wildcats, especially like the way they hug is like, it's been a while, like in between production. I'm pretty sure this is the first time they've seen each other since season 2 wrapped. So let them be happy. Let's let them be happy. The color games are going on, and some of the other teams are kind of taking a break to kind of train up. And other things that are going on is, Ricky's still having his feelings for Gina, but however, his confession was caught on camera, so he's trying to take back the footage. But Corbin's like, no, this is a reality show, man. You don't get footage removed. Jet is still trying to figure out how does he properly apologize to Gizmo, but it's really not Gizmo, Gadget. I don't even know why I was saying Gizmo. Jesus, I'm on the wrong franchise here. Ashley's still kind of torn about why she's a little bit negative towards Val, and she's currently trying to figure it out. She's like playing it off at because she got a letter from Big Red. It's like, I'm communicating with my male boyfriend here, which I'm like, why are you mentioning like that? That's a question. But back to it. Gina's trying to practice basketball. Ricky's trying to give him give her the best advice, but I'm like, dude, just because you played Troy Bolton in a High School Musical high school production does not mean you're actually vast in the world of basketball. I'm not even, but I'm saying I'm probably better than you. Gina calls in Corbin by his name in the movie chat, and he just gets summoned like, I'm here. Chad has returned. I love Corbin so much. This episode kind of feels like this is the Corbin we were meant to get. Like, this is the perfect blend of like asshole Corbin Blue, but kind of like also Chad Corbin Blue. And you know, she's trying to ask him like, what would you recommend? Because you know, she is a dancer, so she does know how to like move her feet, but she just doesn't know how to really get into the rhythm of it. She gets knocked by a freaking basketball from somewhere else. So she gets knocked on the ground. Very soft. That was like kind of like the softest hard landing I've ever seen in my life. She wakes up in this mirage similar to when Miss Jen had her mirage in season 1. And Corbin's there, so they kind of perform. And it's great. It was great to see Corbin back, you know, in singing, dancing mode. It was great. I knew they gotta have to give him a moment at some point during the show, and they did. And I'm happy. This was kind of like him and Gina kind of like doing a little duet. It worked very well. Choreography wise, I'm gonna guess they kind of scaled back a little bit because Corbin's just not of age anymore. I mean, not to say he's not flexible. I'm not saying that at all, but it's just, you know, for me, I haven't seen Corbin since. Oh wait. Yeah, that's about it. I haven't seen him since 2008. The reunion special does not count. So it's been a while since I've seen him. So you got to give me a cutback that, you know, maybe I'm not in tune of it. Not everyone's Terry Silver from Cobra Kai. Come on, relax over here. So the song works. It gives Gina a little bit of a set because she ironically happens to wake up when she's the final camper to shoot her shot, and she gets it, and the blue team manages to win for that challenge. EJ manages to join back up again, and then he's about to bounce, but he accidentally mentions that Miss Jen was in town. Well, he doesn't 100% state that Miss Jen is here, but once he mentions Miss Jen's name, everyone just assumes like she's here, and everyone just goes to the bar and just like, it is so sweet that they're just that tight-knit of a family. And again, say what you want about, like, you know, adults having to make friends with high schoolers just to have friends. Because, like, outside of dating Ricky's dad, maybe her brief thing with the tech teacher, she doesn't really have many friends, adult friends outside of that. She doesn't really, besides the high schoolers. So, but it was still sweet to get to see her back with the Wildcats. Again, going back to, they were not filming together this season that often. So it was still, I'm pretty sure it was a joy for them to like channel that energy. Hey, we're back together. It's been more than a year. Like, you know, let's actually catch up. Like, I'm not surprised if they channel that energy into the scene, which actually was believable. And it's like, it's so cute whenever like a visiting character from an older season comes back and, hey, what you guys doing? What you guys up to? Like, what drama are you guys getting into this time around? And I love those types of scenes. Like, it's not too cringy, but it also is like informing this character what they've been missing. And again, we will see Miss Jen again next season. That's a no-brainer. But you know, it was fun to kind of take a side break from her and like, you know, have her come in and just make her feel valuable to these kids who are just beginning to step out on their own beyond them. But you know, but they'll be appreciative when, you know, she does come back into their lives more full-time next go around. So anywho, they get a little motivation speak from her, and you know, they go back to the game. She comes along this time to witness them doing the rock climbing challenge, which ends in a tie of all things. Which I'm like, why does every competition have to end in a tie? Why? We gotta have that dramatic tiebreaker match, which I'm like, it's a little cliche, but I'm like, you know what? It is what it is at the end of the day. It is what it is. So that's when Miss Jen has to step out and head back home because she can't stay at the camp any longer. Her guest star career is we'll see in season 4, Jen, but it was great for her to pop in again. She does give EJ a little bit more words of encouragement that as long as you have these guys, as long as they know their lines, you'll be fine. Don't worry about it. Like this team's got you. The Wildcats, they got your back always. So they head over back to the campsite to perform the final challenge, which is a cheer off, which is, I'm guessing, performing a Camp Rock song, which I've never heard in my life. But you know what? I like this rendition. It definitely was kind of like a rap battle theme, which again, I don't know the context of the original material. Maybe someday I'll review all the Camp Rock movies, which is only 2, but maybe someday. But until that day comes, I have no interest. Anyway, going back to this. So they all perform pretty well. My new Jet, Gadget were kind of carrying the show, even though they were both on the same team, but they were carrying it through. The rendition was pretty well. Jet and Gadget manages to win it for their team. Yeah, they're back on brief, decent terms. Ricky tries to take a little bit of credit for doing that. However, Gadget just says, hey, look, this happens always. Like, we have good days, and then most of the time we just have bad days. This wasn't a win. This is just typical performances wise, which does not make Ricky that happy, but he's about to get worse in a bit. Yeah, so Corbin's about to step out and, you know, come back later for another day of shooting. Gina tries to get him to do the whole what team Wildcats thing, but I'm like, yeah, that's like, honestly, for me, Corbin's like, you know, like, hey, look, like my time in the HSMCU was fun, which I'm like, bro, do you really, like, just because the MCU is the thing doesn't mean you have to add CU to every franchise. You don't have to. Just because Sharpay's Fabulous Adventures was a thing, sadly, that I did review. Go check that out on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Just because it expanded the franchise does not make this the HSMCU. Where's the Monique spinoff? Monique was underused in the movies. We need her to get a spinoff. She should have gotten a spinoff after the movies were done, but over Sharpay. This is my opinion. But anyway. Anywho, so he leaves. Ricky attempts to try and be overly zealously nice, which I'm like, oh god, I remember when I did this. Oh god, this hurts my soul a little bit. But Gina asks him for a favor, to romantically surprise EJ, which again, I can tell it hurt Ricky a lot. It really did. But it's also a contrast to the last couple of seasons when Gina did have feelings for Ricky, but Ricky was only focused on Nene. So it's kind of like, justice is for me personally, and I've gotten some comments about this, like, you know, what's going to happen at the end of the day. Personally, EJ and Gina should just stay together. They should. It just does not seem like Gina has any sort of feelings anymore for Ricky. Maybe she does, like, have a lingering touch for him, but, like, she's just focused on EJ right now. And the fact they would break up just for the sake of this relationship to happen, it wouldn't make sense. It wouldn't be genuine. And, you know, maybe for once, Ricky just needs to stay solo for once, you know, actually just go for a season where he doesn't have a romantic interest. You know, considering the fact this show has completely got off the rails, like, from episode 1 all the way to now, like, this is just a completely different show. But in a good thing, like, it's high school, like, you evolve, you change, you know, the direction changes, like, you know, the focus changes. And, with that being said, like, yeah, for me, like, it just wouldn't make sense for that to happen, in my opinion. So, Gina giving EJ a little bit of a romantic moment before the play happens, you know, is going to be something. And also they mentioned there's a camp prom, which I'm like, brah, a camp prom? Like, okay, when are you going to get to rehearsals? Because now I'm going to assume the camp prom is going to be next week's episode, and that's the penultimate episode, and the week after that's the finale. So you have to do the play there, which I'm like, normally in typical tradition, like, you don't get to fully adapt the play for the show, which I get that, but like, come on, man, come on. Like, at this point, like, I don't even know what you're doing anymore. What's going on? We'll find out next week about that. Back at the campfire, Ashley's helping Val clean up. Val's kind of like, you know, tell her, you know, you can go, like, you know, I got this. And Ashley's just trying to explain and apologize. Like, she's normally never like this. She's never this mean to people. And she doesn't know exactly what's going on. And she's just baffled that this is her reaction to her. And Val's like, it's fine. It's okay. You know, it's okay. They hug to like kind of like make up, and then fireworks pop up. And I'm like, I have a feeling what this is trying to imply. I get the feeling, but I'll save it for next week. I'll save it. I don't want to. There's already too much to talk about this week, so I'm gonna save it. I'm gonna save it for next week. Ricky's back at his cabin. Oh yeah, I forgot. Miss Jen gave Ricky a present from his dad, even though they're gonna see each other in less than a week. You know, here's a present. Turns out to be a moon rock. But of course, Ricky's still sad that like Gina is still doing all these romantic things for EJ, and he feels sad because like, you know, when the girl you like is like interested in someone or with someone else, like, you're gonna get sad at these moments. Jed walks in on him, kind of crying, and you know, he's trying to write it off about like the whole the bucket list and the moon rock, and he's trying to like, you know, kind of walk it off, you know, trying to like sidestep any sort of Gina conversation, even though Jed knows like, yeah, I know you have a crush on Gina. And Ricky's like, shut up about it. And then for some random reason, like, Ricky just gets a bright idea once Jed mentions that, like, yeah, he and his sister still has a long way to go to like recover their relationship, and he believes it really started when her and her girlfriend broke up at the last prom. And Ricky's just like, I feel like Ricky's just trying to fix things just because he can't really do anything with Gina. That's what I'm assuming at this point. But what is Ricky's master plan? I really don't know. We'll find out next week, because yeah, that was it for this week's episode of HSMTMTS. I thought this was all right. I thought this was a good episode, but I definitely kind of fell a little bit from last week. Corbin Blue being in there, Rudy Fruity being in there definitely helped, but it didn't feel like last week, where like last week, like, it was just firing in all cylinders. This one was still firing in cylinders. Bringing back Miss Jen was a smart, creative move to kind of like move along the plot, get the cast back together with her for a little bit. Now every one of the main cast is back together, and honestly, it was really sweet for her to come back. It definitely gave them a little bit of motivation to finish off the summer camp so they can go back home and, like, you know, resume their adventures in Salt Lake City. But until then, it was a nice fun cameo. The color games, honestly, it felt like a fun concept, but most of it kind of felt like side stuff. Like, yeah, the basketball number, getting that was fun, but, you know, that was only meant for a few scenes then and there. It wasn't really the primary focus. Both musical numbers, both performances were pretty great, so I'll give them credit there. And yeah, I'm also curious, what the hell is Nene? Like, I know, I said this like the last 3 weeks, like, it's okay for Nene to be here, not to be here. We're on episode 6 now. We haven't seen her since the second episode. Like, are we just going to see her in the finale? Is she done? Like, I know they said that they were going to write an arc for her this season so that if she decides to fully not come back next season, this would be a good send-up for her. So I am assuming we're going to see her again next week. I really don't know 100%. It's just a big question mark right now, which is how, you know, the contracts work. I'm 100% certain she's not going to come back for the final performance. She's just way too out of the loop right now to even be. No, I can imagine Big Red, Seb. I can imagine some of the other HSM cast, you know, the recurrings to show up to support their friend. I could imagine that. I don't think it will happen. It's still a big story. I think they're both credited for guest stars this season, so I feel like they're just going to show up in the finale and then segue back into main roles for season 4. That's what I'm assuming. I really don't know. There's just a lot of big questions with this season being more confusing than season 2 because of, you know, season 2 was the pandemic. This is a summer season, so it's a bit more confusing in my opinion. As for everything else, EJ and Gina kind of taking a pause with like their romantic issues was like, it was nice. There again, like the whole pause feature does have its benefit, but it also has its own disadvantages because just because you're pausing the argument doesn't mean you're pausing the fighting. That's not really solving the problem. So even though they're like happy now, like I'm pretty sure there's gonna be some blow up later on. I'm pretty sure. I'm assuming Ricky's going to have a Gina moment where he eventually is just going to realize Gina's going to be happy with EJ. That's what I'm assuming, because at this point, it just doesn't seem like Gina's like really going to make a left turn for him. It just doesn't seem like that's going to happen. Jen and Gadget, like, I'm honestly surprised, like, you know, the more and more we get deeper into the season, because, like, at the first episode, I was just, like, not interested in their characters whatsoever. They were not making an impression on me. I just thought these were going to be throwaways for the season just to fill in some slots, but no, like, so far, they're really killing it. I definitely do want to see more of their connection, their relationship. I definitely want to see how they could write them into season 4. So, so far, they're achieving all on that front. But overall, like, just speaking, like, this was a good episode, like, you know, still standard, and I can't wait to see what happens next week. But for me, I'm going to give this episode 1.5 thumbs up. Still really enjoyed it, just not as great as last week. But that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Tube, reviewing every episode in the 3rd season of High School Musical, the musical, the series. If you want to know what we're doing normally on What's the Tube besides our HSMTMTS reviews, we're currently doing DC Stargirl Season 3 episode review each and every week after Brandon is on the CW, so go check them out there. But if you don't care about HSMTMTS, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review. However, like episode 4's review, I believe, episode 4's review, I was out of state. I was not in the normal set. That will be the same setup for next week. I'll be in a different environment. So just letting you know, the quality dips. I apologize. I will be watching the episode locally, so don't worry about that. But we will be back next week with another episode, so don't worry about that. And then we will be back in our set for the finale, so don't worry about that. Just to give you a little heads up on the scheduling rise, next 2 episode weeks are reviews. After that will be the season 4 predictions video, and then afterward will be the season 3 review, and then that will wrap up the HSM content for the year. And then so again, this has been What's the Tube from ActionX. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring that bell for notification when our next episode review is live. Please also like, favorite, share this review if you want to, as well as please follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates we may have for either of our channels. But until we see each other again next week, everyone, for all you Wildcats out there, I'll see you then. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.